Far beneath the Earth lies a hidden world, uncovered after 5 million years of complete darkness. Here, they found subterranean rooms filled with poisonous gas. A place where a human would soon become unconscious and die. Yet the incredible life found here has thrived. Against all odds, these creatures seem to defy the impossible. With an alien-like ecosystem that sustains 37 species found nowhere else on the planet, this underground world is rewriting the definition of life on Earth. Down here, grazers feed off bacterial slime. Predators born without eyes hunt by feel, and a terrifying tail centipede scours the cave floor, devouring anything it catches. Even now, scientists are discovering new species that challenge our understanding of life in these extreme conditions. I'm Jordan Ferguson, and you're watching See It First. Join me as we delve into the depths of the Movile Cave to uncover its secrets, what previously unknown creatures survive, the incredible challenges they overcome, and what it could all mean for life beyond our planet. On Romania's Black Sea coast in the Dobrogea region, 20 meters below Earth's surface, an extraordinary discovery was made. For most of human history, people assumed all life ultimately depended on the sun. Whether harvested through photosynthesis or passed along as plant matter or prey, the energy that powers life had always traced back to sunlight. That was until 1977, when scientists found entire ecosystems at deep-sea vents powered without the sun. Between the superheated fluid reaching up to 400 degrees Celsius and the near freezing seawater, food webs were being created by bacteria that use chemicals instead of sunlight to grow. A process called chemosynthesis, where the bacteria oxidize hydrogen sulfide from the vents to produce organic material. And once the bacteria turn chemicals into food, whole communities can stack up on top of them. Like the red-plumed giant tube worms, creatures with no mouth or gut. Swarms of vent shrimp that farm bacteria in their enlarged gills, and an almost blind vent crab with degenerate naked retina eyes, meaning they can only see light and dark. All living where life was thought impossible. It was this discovery that changed our understanding of organic life and of what's needed to sustain it. But these are open ecosystems connected by currents to the wider ocean and other aquatic animals. Naturally, then, we're left with the next question. Could it be possible for life to exist in a completely sealed system, cut off from the rest of the world? Cue 1986, when an accidental discovery rocked the scientific world. While surveying ground for a power plant near Mangalia, a Romanian team drilled into a void. Warm, humid air rose from the hole. An artificial shaft was opened, and scientists descended into a tight, clay-coated passage that twisted 60 feet down. There was no natural entrance, no daylight, no surface water trickling in. Just stagnant sulfurous air and floating microbial mats on the water. Signs of life in the most unlikely of places. Later tests would show the cave had been encased for roughly 5.5 million years. Time enough for evolution to create something unlike anything else on Earth. But if sunlight never reaches this place, and fresh nutrients can't get in, what kind of environment could it possibly contain? And how could anything survive down there? Descending a 20-meter rope down into the dark, squeezing through tight spaces and swimming through submerged passages, the first team of speleologists finally made it to the central cavern, the Movile Cave. The smell is what you'd first notice, sharp and sulfurous like rotting eggs cooking in the sun. The air is uncomfortably warm and humid, and as the team entered further, the passage opened into a chamber where the ceiling disappeared and a quiet, pale lake spread out beneath them. From out of cracks in the walls and cave floor, they began to notice creatures of all kinds scrambling through the darkness. amphipods, strange scorpions, and spiders, species that would later prove entirely new to science. In this sealed chamber, air poisonous to human life and never touched by the sun, life was surprisingly abundant. It must have been a truly terrifying experience for that first team of explorers, the walls alive with crawling invertebrates, and an atmosphere hostile to humans. Within the main chamber, oxygen is around 7%, a third of our normal atmospheric concentration. CO2 levels reach up to 3.5%, almost 100 times more than what we breathe day to day. And that rotten egg smell came from hydrogen sulfide, seeping up from the lake and mixing with the air at nearly 100% humidity. Complete darkness, barely any oxygen for complex life, and a dangerous chemical cocktail permeating the atmosphere. For that first group in the cave, it quickly became clear that something unbelievable was happening here. The Movile Cave is completely sealed by clay, so no water can filter down from the Earth's surface. Instead, warm groundwater rises through the limestone, carrying hydrogen sulfide, methane, ammonium, and CO2. On rock and water surfaces within the cave, microbes use those chemicals to create energy, just like in deep-sea vents. Billions of these cells grow together as pale, slimy mats that cover the cave and lake. Like plankton in the sea, these bacteria form the base of the food web. On the next rung up the ladder sit the grazers. Thread-thin nematodes weave through the muck, feeding straight from the slime-coated walls. Tiny crustaceans, like amphipods and ghost white isopods, scrape and nibble the bacterial mats, breaking them into tiny pieces. And where all these grazers gather, the predators lurk. And they are the stuff of nightmares. With no use for eyes, they've instead adapted longer feelers and chemical senses. They rule the darkness, hunting by touch, smell, and feel. Long-legged cave spiders lurk along ledges and around air pockets. Pseudoscorpions, small and tailless, seize passing grazers with pincer claws and devour them where they fall. In the pools, an eyeless water scorpion lies in ambush just under the surface. Motionless until a ripple betrays a passing amphipod, it snaps out with spiked forelegs, pierces its prey with a straw-like beak, and sucks out its insides. And then there's the apex predator at the top of the food chain, the pale, blind centipede, Cryptops speleorex. In Latin, spele means cave, and rex is for king, so the king of the cave. Cryptops refers to its genus, which comes from two ancient Greek words, kryptos, meaning hidden, and ops, eye. Put it all together and we have the hidden eye, king of the cave. It really has a nefarious ring to it. To hunt, it reads the air for molecules and feels the ground for tremors. When it finds movement, it lashes out, pinning its victims and injecting venom that immobilizes nerves and muscles. Then, while holding tight with their legs, they chew it apart, piece by piece, with their powerful mandibles. All while the grazer is still alive. Isn't nature just wonderful? Many of these species are so uniquely adapted that they were unknown to science before the Movile Cave's discovery, having evolved in isolation for millions of years. But how did these creatures come to be there in the first place? The leading theory states that in the late Miocene period, around 5.5 million years ago, Dobrogia became very cold and very dry. Surface invertebrates that needed moisture pushed down into cracks and cavities in the earth to ride it out. But then the door closed on them. Sediments and clay sealed the ceiling and any route back to the surface. What had been a refuge became a tomb. A small founding community was cut off and left to die underground. But instead of packing it in, they did what life has been doing since the beginning of time. They found a way to adapt and survive. Eyes became useless in a place with no light, so they were discarded, as were pigments. If you can't see, what's the point in color? Touch and chemical senses became the vital keys for survival. Generation by generation, these lineages drifted away from their surface relatives until they became something entirely different. An alien-like ecosystem built for this chamber and nowhere else. But it's not unlike what scientists believe about the Earth's environment during its primordial past. 3 billion years ago, there was little oxygen, abundant CO2, and hydrogen sulfide in the air. Sound familiar? The fact that a robust ecosystem functions in Movile's dark, poisonous environment suggests that ancient microbial life could have done the same. Some of those cave-dwelling microbes could be similar to the very first life forms that emerged on our planet. But even more than a fascinating glimpse into life's origins, the Movile Cave also serves as a model for how life might exist beyond Earth. As things can clearly survive in sunless sealed caverns, could it not also survive on other planets in similar extreme environments? Scientists point to places like subsurface caves on Mars or the buried oceans of Jupiter's moon Europa. These, too, are places of total darkness, mineral-rich water, and plentiful chemical energy sources. Movile Cave is more than a unique oddity full of bizarre creatures. It's also a key reference point in astrobiology and the study of life's resiliences. Personally, I love how discoveries of the natural world continue to surprise us all. It's as Nobel Prize-winning theoretical physicist Richard Feynman said, "Nature's imagination is so much greater than man's. She's never going to let us relax." What other unbelievable adaptations and mind-boggling life forms could nature have cooked up across the universe? Please follow See It First for more explorations like in this video, and let us know in the comments whether you believe life exists beyond our Earth.